About it. Yes, we are recording. Okay. Hello, everyone. Let me just show myself to you. Okay, here I am. Hello. My name is Franciszek Krzych, and I'm a Chief Ambassador of Pathways, the new educational program for Future District 108, which is Poland, Finland, and Baltic countries, which it doesn't exist yet, but will exist very soon. And today I have a great pleasure of talking to you about meetings with pathways. Meetings with pathways is an idea that I had around about a year ago, and it's all about talking about the new educational program. And today, together with Greta Kesa, I would like to share some fresh first impressions about this program with you. Greta, can you say 2 words about yourself?
Hello everyone, I'm Greta from Vilnius in Lithuania, and I'm now doing the role of Pathways Ambassador and Guide. And I'm very excited actually. I know that Franek actually started his Pathway experience with Icebreaker. I haven't done it yet, but I'm very excited to touch it not only theoretically, but also practically.
Okay, thank you very much. And once again, I'm Chief Pathways Ambassador, so it means that I am together with a bunch of wonderful people, which are Pathways Ambassadors and Guides, who you probably have met in your clubs. I'm trying to help them, coordinate them, so they will deliver the best news about Pathways to your clubs. And today we will talk a bit about not we'll not try to repeat what you already heard during the club visits, but we'll talk about some, related things. But before we do that, I was asked to show some food. I hope you can see that. Can you see that? And also,
yes, we can.
Okay, and also that. You like it? Okay, so let's not make it artificial. Let's go with the live picture. This is the best. I tell you guys, you have to, after this webinar finishes, you have to go to the shop and buy some mango. That's a must. Okay. Oh yeah, the meeting. Right. The pathways thing. Okay, I got distracted. Sorry. So let me tell you first that Pathways is here. So for those of you who don't know it yet, Pathways arrived to our district, to our whole region, to Europe and Middle East and Africa. It arrived and we can log in and use it since last Tuesday, which is great news because we can finally stop talking about it. I mean, I like talking like anybody else in Toastmasters, maybe even more, but we can try to do stuff. And that's how I started. I already delivered my icebreaker one day after Pathways was introduced. And right now I'm getting ready for the next projects. But let's see what we have in stock for today. So first, record. I pressed that. That's good. Then Greta will tell us why is Pathways so special or not. I will share some statistics with you about how Pathways is introduced around the world. Greta will mention some selected paths. Then I will show you what is the process of logging into the Basecamp, the portal for Pathways, and how to choose a path for yourself. We'll summarize, and at the end, we will answer your questions. So the idea is, if you have any questions right now or throughout the presentation, just write them down in the chat, and we will not answer them immediately, but at the end of this meeting, which we will finish in an hour, I promise. At the end of the meeting, me and Greta will try to answer some of your questions, maybe some of the questions that we know that were asked in the past. Okay, so go ahead and throughout this meeting, you can write all the questions that come up to you about pathways or some other questions, about mangoes, for example. Mangoes, good, yeah. And we will answer at least some of them at the end, okay? And I think this is time when I move to, I will stop sharing myself. Let's give the voice to Greta. Go ahead, Greta.
All right. So, hello everyone. One more time. First of all, I want to give you a task. In the chat below all the attendees list, you can find, just in a second, a doodle link, which I would like you to fill when you are listening to us. Of course, the main focus should be listening, but you also can use your time to fill it in. This doodle is for people who have already chosen the path, and the link asks you to indicate which path have you chosen, because later on we can see not only statistics, let's say, of the whole world, but also of the people who attend this meeting. And for example, if you haven't chose your path yet, and you maybe have never been to base camp, and you have almost no idea practically what is pathways, for example, you can write in the chat no, and then I would know how deeply, for example, to tell the good things and the advantages of pathways. So 2 tasks for you while I'm speaking. First of all, fill the doodle if you have chosen the path for yourself, and if you haven't chosen the path yet, type in the chat box no. No, Agidius. Okay, very good. And while you're doing this task, I'll go forward, and as this part of the webinar is actually how is pathways different, or how is pathways great. So, oh, by the way, I can show myself to you. Maybe it will be more engaging. Can you see me now? I hope you can. All right. So first of all, what I want to stress is that pathways is different in a way of learning. Actually, those of you who attended meetings when Pathways ambassadors or guides provided you information, I hope they stressed that, for example, Toastmasters meetings, which we love the most, they are not changing. And Toastmasters is still about public speaking and leadership. But the way how we learn is much more interesting. Few examples. So if you choose working online and in Basecamp, then it's very good because you can access your path and your training material whenever you go. I like it a lot because I love traveling, and then bringing the manuals, trying not to forget them, can be a bit difficult. And here you can just log in and go with it. I know that it's perfectly working with computers, laptops, or what's the name? iPods. What's the usual name of this? What? iPads, yeah, but it's not only iPads. So, yeah, sorry, I'm using Mac. Yeah, this is the thing. Yeah, but I know people try to log into the Basecamp even through the usual Safaris and Google Chromes on their phones. So it's also working, and it's possible to learn, as I said, anywhere you go. I think it's very good. I hear somebody breathing. So if possible, can you please mute yourself? Thank you. It's also good because I noticed that Pathways has much more interactive content, meaning that you're not only going through the book and reading what you have to do, but Pathways provides you with various videos, and not only videos on tips and tricks, but also current members who have more experience in Pathways. They are sharing that based on their understanding and their life with Pathways currently. So I think it really expands the resource base. So as I said, we're learning online. We're learning from different resources, not only books, but also personal experiences, how people dealt with various projects, and I think it's very interesting and engaging. And I noticed that the projects in Pathways are very practical, because, for example, last week I went through the icebreaker together with my mentee, and we noticed that there's a very good thing for example, icebreaker worksheet, where you can use the fillable PDF to actually write your own ideas and save it, and to have like a structure of your speech inside the Basecamp. So it's very engaging, and you have the knowledge, and you can already put it in practice. So I believe it's very comfortable for people. And besides the difference is that the way of learning changes, I believe learning became more complex and integrated, because before Pathways in traditional program, we had two tracks, right? Two tracks which we were going through, public speaking separately and leadership. So here they are combined, which I like a lot, because we're not saying that, okay, you're either a public speaker or a leader, but we say that in order to become an effective leader, we have to communicate well. Or let's say sometimes when we want to, I don't know, tell about the experience in something, we also need to lead not only others, but also ourselves, for example, in preparation process. And for example, one thing which I noticed and which is very interesting is that the projects itself and pathways, they are also interconnected. Let's say if we have one example, if we have a project called evaluation and speaking, you're not only evaluating, but let's say you're giving your speech, then somebody evaluates you, and then you have to give the second speech based on that evaluation. So it can be the same speech or something different, but you have to implement the feedback. So it's not like, oh, I got the feedback and that's it. Let's go with that. I'm still cool. So I believe that those are two of the main good points, is that learning has changed and we're getting digital a lot, and it's much more interactive and practical to the person which is using that. So besides that, there are many different projects which I'll talk about a bit later on and explain a bit more detailed what are the different paths, and maybe we'll give some tips for somebody how to choose the path, or maybe how to change it, because we still have 30 days period. So Franek, I'm giving back to you.
Thank you so much. I will steal the focus right now. Here I go, stealing off the focus. Okay. Okay, so did you know that Mango is the new logo of Pathways? You didn't? Well, it's not yet, but I'm sure it will be soon. Because Pathways is sweet, and it's so sweet that right now I will present you the rate it's going, it's adopted by our members. Okay, take a look at this screen, and you will see that 24% of all the people around the world who can access Pathways, they already are using it. And this, by the way, you can go there to this page and take a look at, actually these are the data from today, so very fresh. And we have a list of paths, for example, that people are attempting, projects, on which level they are on, which electives they chose, and so on. Interesting thing is about paths. Actually, Toastmasters believed that in Pathways, most of the people, as we come to learn, public speaking, they will choose presentation mastery. Actually, most people chose innovative planning instead. Presentation mastery is also popular, but apparently we also want what Toastmasters wants to promote right now, the leadership paths. Okay. I myself chose motivational strategies, but more about paths themselves will be, Greta will tell you more. Just a reminder, if you have any questions, put them into the chat. Okay, let's look more at those statistics. On this website, you can also see how many days on average people were doing certain projects. And you can easily see that for many projects, people are actually rushing. They are enjoying the pathways, so they will not do a project for a couple of months. They will do it in a month or so. Let's see user statistics now. Okay, it's loading. So first of all, we have statistics by the country, of course, and in Europe, there's not so many members using compared to United States because we just started. The average membership length is quite high. This is not the same thing as you have in your grabs. This is because people who use Pathways, some of the people that use Pathways have a lot of years in Toastmasters, and they will put this average to a very high number. 10% of those using Pathways are dual members. So again, more active or more experienced members. We have pathways in 87 countries and in many languages, almost all Toastmasters official languages already. I think we have already French, Spanish, German, English, of course, and Chinese at least. Okay, there's another interesting statistic here. So how many people with a specific role in the club participate in pathways? And as you can see on this graph, leadership role, not that many people are in the board. I mean, of course, there is a big representation of those, but a lot of simple members, not just people from the board, are participating in the pathways. And here, educational awards, you can notice that there are quite a few people who have no education award in the current old program that are participating in the pathways, not just the experienced ones, including, for example, DTMs or CCs and so on. I mean, of course, this is not a typical graph for your club, but still it shows that not only experienced members want to try pathways out, but people that are new as well. Okay, now let's get to the really interesting statistics, because as I mentioned, we have fresh data from today. Yesterday, when I was showing this webinar, we didn't have fresh data. The data was from Wednesday. Let's see what our district looks like. And our district says, okay, let's start with user progress. So in our district, already 7.5% of people that can access pathways, they already signed up, they already started something. Maybe they didn't do a project, but they opened pathways, so they are thinking about it. And that's wonderful. Like within a week, 7.5%. Wonderful. And the paths that we are choosing are quite different from the global statistics, as you can see. Somebody's okay. I will mute some people. Okay. As you can see, we are looking good in the dynamic leadership, presentation master, innovative planning. My motivational strategies are also quite strong. Okay, let's see user statistics. So on average, members of our district have 3 and a little bit over 3 years, and quite a lot of dual members in 21 countries in total. So we have people who are registered in different countries. And there are quite a lot of people in Germany that started pathways, and in Poland. What else? Latvia, Finland, 12 people, Estonia, 2 people, Latvia, 9, Lithuania, 17, nice. And Poland, 127, because there are quite a few clubs in Poland. And let's see the leadership roles. As you can see, a lot of simple members enrolled already, and quite a few of them have no education award in the previous program, which is good because we want fresh new people to join in and to try it out. Remember, we can do pathways and the old program simultaneously for more than 2 years still. And I encourage you, if you're not sure, just try it out simultaneously. Okay, I think that's all for the simple statistics. And right now I would like to know a little bit more about particular paths. Greta, can you tell us more?
Of course I can, if you let me become a presenter. Hey.
Here you go.
Awesome. Just a second. Can you see my screen? I guess you can.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, good. So I can share this this thing that you see now in front of you with everybody through the link, and it's accessible through to all the members. So what's important to mention that I believe some of you have seen this page, or at least a slide, because Pathways ambassadors and guides should have presented that. But briefly, so as you know already, we have 10 paths, and each path represents some of the 5 core competences, which all our learning is based on. And what Franek mentioned about, let's say, presentation mastery, which was planned to be the most popular one, but it's not that much, it's in the 2nd place. So it actually the only path which represents mostly public speaking, not leadership competencies. So what we'll do here, we will try to go through some of the paths and see what's inside them. And I would also like to, for example, stress on the final projects of each path. It's like the cherry on top, what you will need to complete in order to finish the path. I think it's very interesting, and I know some people are even choosing the paths based on that. Also, what I have mentioned before, as we are only for less than a week rolled out, there is that rule, which doesn't have to be used, of course, but this is the rule that if you see that your path, which you have just chosen, is not what you thought it would be, and for example, after my presentation or after hearing what are the final projects, you will decide that, I want to choose another path. Maybe you will want to jump into motivational strategies only because Franek have chosen it. You can do it because we can change our path for free within 30 days. So you will just need to write an email to Toastmasters International and ask to do that. But don't do that just because of doing. I think it's very smart to choose wisely. So let's go deeper into this. What you see in front of you, so these are paths selected, and in this file you can find the short description of each path. Actually, this is the same description you can find after doing the assessment test. For the ones who haven't done that yet, I believe Franek will go shortly through the demonstration and show you how to do this. It will be maybe easier to understand. So we have the description, and then we have the 5 different levels indicated with the project names. As you might see, levels 1 and 2 are kind of the same, not really the same, but very similar into each path. Level 1 is completely the same for all of us. The same goes with Icebreaker, of course, because this is the first project we have to complete before going forward. And then starting from the second level till the 5, till the final one, some projects might repeat and some are actually different. What you might see already is that there is in level 3 and 4, there are some elective projects, meaning that you can choose from all the list in your path, choose, for example, 2 as it's indicated, or 1 which you want to do. This gives even more flexibility to you that you can work on, and that's why I said that Pathways, it's a different way of learning, and it's much more flexible to us than traditional program. Because even though you took, for example, a path called, let's say, okay, let's talk about Franek's path, motivational strategies, and for example, let's see level 3, maybe one person would like to take effective body language project because he thinks that he's lacking a bit of movement. He's maybe good at creating speeches, but he's not that good in delivering. So he might choose this one. Or if a person is an expert in some kind of field, or he's looking for a job now, he might choose the elective project called Prepare for an Interview. So as I said, Pathways is really up to date, and it's really preparing us for our world. Because what I like telling in even my club meetings, that it's very good to aim to be amazing or the best Toastmaster, but in Toastmasters we actually should aim, according to me, to be better people not only in Toastmasters but also outside it. So Pathways is a perfect platform for that. As I said, we can go, for example, through each of the final project, because some of the paths have similar or the same final projects, and those final projects might also be interesting to you to know. Let's start from the beginning. And for example, when we have dynamic leadership, you can see at level 5, there is a project which is said lead in any situation. So that means that, for example, for that project, you will need to have a leadership role for 6 months. It can be in Toastmasters, in any volunteering position, any volunteering organization, or maybe you have a bikers club, or maybe you are a group leader in your company, so it also would count. And you will have to do after this project 8 to 10 minute speech reflecting on that learning experience. So it's a bit different because usually our speeches are 5 to 7, so this time is a bit longer. And also it provides you opportunity to get 360 feedback, meaning that you are evaluating yourself and your colleagues, let's say, or peers are evaluating you after you complete this project. As I started talking about leading projects, effective coaching has a bit different project in the end. But for example, just a second. Yeah, for example, strategic relationships on the right. It has similar final project, but it says not leading in any situation, but leading in your volunteer organization. So here you will also have to complete a 6 months leadership role, but here, let's say professional roles are not accepting that much unless you ask a lot and pray for that, you know. But mostly it's about in Toastmasters or any other volunteering organization. And here, what is different that you will have to do 5 to 7 minute speech, so it's a bit shorter. And also you have to create like a succession plan after you leave that leadership role, what comes after, like a suggestion. So it's a bit different from the first one I explained. You might have noticed that some projects have high leadership performance, high performance leadership projects at the end. For example, on the right, persuasive influence, or even innovative planning on the left on the page, high performance leadership. So this is, as Franek said, the most popular path in the whole world. Or also effective coaching has high performance leadership as the final project. I did high performance leadership actually. So the goal for that is to lead a team in a certain event, but at the same time to have a guidance committee which you're kind of learning with and reflecting on your experience while leading the team or organizing some kind of event. You can choose this, and it's actually very interesting that there are a lot of good resources which you can base your practical experience on. I did that, so I can tell a bit more. And in this high performance leadership, you will need to tell 2 speeches, not 1. So 1 is when you actually plan it and you have a vision, so you're kind of presenting your plan and vision before the project starts. And the second speech is after everything is already done. So you're kind of reflect your experience and tell what you learned, how did you feel about it, and maybe what kind of leader you have become. So it's also very interesting. If we are going to other paths, I'm sorry, so which we haven't mentioned yet. So for example, here you can see leadership development path. I'm excited about this because this is the path I have chosen actually, and I was very surprised to see that it's not super popular, neither among the world nor in our district. And what's in there? So actually, the last project is manage successful events. So actually, you need to give only 1 speech after the event for 5 to 7 minutes and reflect and explain what's happening. And then when I'm telling you about all this, and not only in manage successful events, but also in high performance leadership or leading a team, you have the full bunch of resources as in all other projects, where Toastmasters International give you tips, tricks, examples, as I said before, member experiences, so you're not left alone. You have a lot of theoretical and practical information which you can use to accomplish these projects in the best case. So I covered leading a volunteering team, leading in any situation. A very interesting one is, for example, in motivational strategies on the left, the last project is team building. That means that you have to actually lead a team building, maybe to your Toastmasters club or your team at your work, or maybe some other teams. Maybe you are a professional team building leader and host, so you can kind of get credit for that as well while doing your usual job. And in this team building project, you can find two speeches actually. So one is very short, 2 to 3 minutes, explaining uh, the idea of the team building and how you're gonna perform and what you're gonna do. And then afterwards is 5 to 7, again, speech reflecting your experience and what you learned. And I think one more, oh yeah, so presentation mastery. On the left, the path which is totally based on public speaking. And it's not a surprise that the final project at level 5 is prepared to speak professional. So actually it requires you to deliver something like a keynote, like a big presentation for 18 to 22 minutes. If VP Education lets you do that, you can do that outside those masters. So maybe some kind of big event, or maybe, I don't know, maybe a TEDx stage, who knows, because you will be presentation master at that time. So you can get credit for that as well. And I'll just check if I haven't forgot any. Oh, last one. Some of you might have chosen, or you're thinking to choose visionary communication on the right, if you see the screen. So the last project of that is developing your vision, which is also interesting and quite unique. I haven't seen that in Toastmasters before at all. So requirements here are, I would say, simple but super interesting. So you need to create a plan for either yourself, for example, your personal life. Maybe you can create a vision on how you want to live a healthier life, or how you want to learn a few more languages, or how you want to change your career. Or it can be professional or job-wise vision. So maybe you have your startup or company that you're leading, so you can use Toastmaster project to actually learn how to present the vision and how to create it for yourself. And this project requires 5 to 7 minutes vision presentation speech, and then one more after, let's say, 2 meetings, also 5 to minute speech for giving a detailed plan how you actually gonna achieve this vision. So as I said before, after telling these final projects and after actually researching this, I understood that really Pathways is super down to earth, even though it's very modern, and it can be, those skills can be actually very well used in the outside world. Yeah, so one more thing I want to show to you is actually that you all who have, I cannot, okay. You all who have access to Basecamp, meaning that all of you, you can access all projects in all paths, even though you haven't chose this path. So let's say if my path is, as I said, leadership development, but I'm very interested to see what is hidden behind, let's say, high performance leadership. I can actually access that in Basecamp through the tutorials and resources. So it's open for everyone, and you can read about all the projects. It's allowed. Maybe I can give you a few more examples of projects we can go through, not only the final ones, but the ones you might select as elected. So it can start either from the simple projects as connect with storytelling, right? We have just now the very short project description, but there is a lot of material, as I said, within the project, more of this. So maybe you want to learn storytelling, these things, right? How stories build. Or maybe, as I said, there's that big project on prepare for the interview, and you can also read the project description and what's needed there. For example, here you will have to, let's say, during the club meeting, you will have to select a partner who will question you and who will give you questions, and then based off material that you learn for the project, you will prepare and you will try to be an amazing person who knows how to answer the questions either as an expert or in your job interview. Or also, very interesting project and very modern, I would say, create a podcast. So yeah, actually, your task will be to try to create a podcast and present it. So as you see, I think I didn't open the correct one. Oh, okay, project description, because I opened the evaluation resource. Yep, so your task would be to record a minimum of 60 minutes content. And then during your club meeting, you will have to play 5 to 7 minute segment of your podcast and then actually introduce it in a 2 to 3 minute speech. So as I said, not only in final projects, but also in all projects and pathways, there are a lot of skills we can learn and a lot of different competences. So I believe if you haven't chosen the path, you will need to do that as soon as we finish this webinar. And after Franek will show the main features. And if you have chosen the path, don't forget to dig in it and go for it, because I think it's the best what happened to Toastmasters. So Franek, I'm giving back to you.
Thank you, Greta, so much. Let me share the screen once again. And sharing the screen. Okay. And showing myself. And the mango. Maybe we should use the mango instead of flags in Toastmasters, because it's green in some places and yellow and red. I will start using that. Okay, the thing that I wanted to show you is something that you saw only for a second when Greta was switching between the windows. There is a website which also delivers you the short descriptions of all the projects, and I think it's quite nicely built. You can select the path here and select the level and go through the projects and their descriptions quite easily. This is the page I use if I want to check something quickly in Pathways. So you can check it out. Okay, but now let's go to, okay, the doodle is filling out. Greta can show that later. Let's do the demonstration. Okay, so you may have noticed there is a screen like this in toastmasters.org. Some of you have been here once or twice. Let me log in and go to Pathways. So Pathways, for those who don't know how to get there, go to Basecamp, for example. And here you have three options. The most interesting option for the newcomers, like your new members, would be to go to the navigator, an interactive way to introduce people to the concept of Toastmasters and to different ways of how to participate in our meetings, how to do speeches. So you go there if you want to see the basics, or if you want to show the basics, use that. Now let's try to choose very quickly a path. I'm clicking on choose path selection. I'm taking an assessment. Actually, I can go with the printed materials, but I do not recommend it because we can print the projects ourselves, and the printed materials cost additional $25. So Toastmasters is totally okay with us printing the things ourselves. I'm taking the assessment in English. Actually, if you have taken the assessment before, or you are a person that knows everything in the world and you know which path you want to choose, you just skip the assessment and go right on and choose your path. That's your prerogative. But I would like to start with the survey. Okay, so the survey is designed to help you figure out for yourself what do you want to do in Pathways, in Toastmasters at this certain point. Maybe you came to Toastmasters with some other goals. Now you want to do public speaking and speech writing and time management. These are the things that you are interested in learning the most. Now they ask you this very subtle question, but out of those three, what is actually something that brought you to Toastmasters? And I will say public speaking. And then they will ask you, but basically, what will help you in life? Because something may have brought you to Toastmasters, but maybe something is actually helpful, not just, advertised. So maybe time management is something that will help me significantly. So I would like to concentrate on those two things, public speaking and also time management, because it actually helps. And then the next questions that I will have the answers to between strongly agree and disagree will be connected mostly to those two choices that I made. So 3 topics, and out of this 1 topic that brought me to Toastmasters and 1 that is useful. And only then the survey will give you different questions, okay? And it will help you choose 3 paths. I'm just scrolling through because I don't want to spoil the surprise. I'm agreeing with everything because I like to agree with things. That's a good thing to do. Agree, agree, agree. If you disagree, just write in the chat that you disagree and we can have a conversation, but I will agree. And as you can see, the survey is quite extensive, which actually helps the algorithm to advise you on the path. So what happens when you finish it is you will get 3 recommendations. It doesn't mean that you have to choose one of those paths. It means that based on those answers and the stupid computer algorithm, computers are stupid. I'm an IT guy, I know. But based on those algorithms, they thought that maybe those 3 choices are good for you, especially innovative planning in this case. You can read more about them. You can read about specific projects. For example, on this website, like go to innovative planning, look through the levels, read about the projects, not electives because those you can choose in any path, but the mandatory projects. And only then you will choose your path. If you don't like those choices that they proposed, you can take the assessment once again, or you can just click on additional paths and select any other path that you like. Okay, I hope that's clear. If you have any questions, write them in the chat. So I'm selecting a path and I have it. Okay, let's say I just selected a path. So go to Basecamp, and now I will select a club that I want to use, because I have access as a Pathways Guide, as a Chief Ambassador Pathways Guide, and I belong to 2 clubs. So each time I will log into Basecamp, I will choose a club I'm using for this session. So I'm using Toastmasters Podcast SA, my home club. I'm a proud member for 11 years in Warsaw, English speaking, and I'm logging in as a member. Now, I will see a wonderful screen with all the opportunities, and believe me, it's wonderful. I'm using a similar system. It's based on Cornerstone. So here you can see Cornerstone on demand. I'm using it at work, and it's not looking so wonderful. So this edition of Cornerstone, perfect. Now we can have different options. Navigating Basecamp is basically helps and tutorials, wonderful thing. If you're new to it, you can check things out here without asking your Pathways Guide or VP Edu or whatever. Educational transcripts will be the projects that you do. We'll get to there in a moment. Feedback after the speeches, badges that you were given by the system for doing stuff or by your fellow members, and speech evaluations, all possible speech evaluations that you can browse through. That's Greta already mentioned. You can check out different projects and how to evaluate them, especially if somebody asks you to be an evaluator. Let's go to my educational transcript, or there it was on the main page as well. There are a couple of evaluation resources, so evaluation sheets that I was looking at before. Some Pathways Guides task specific for me, and my path motivational strategies. I'm opening it up, and here we go. I'm looking, there is an icebreaker, and there are 2 more projects. When you start the path, you will see icebreaker. You can launch it, you can activate it, then launch it. And only then, after you finish it, you will be able to see evaluation and feedback, researching and presenting. And only when you finish those three, they will have this, tick, and probably you want to evaluate them if they were any good. And you will contact your vice president of education to confirm that you did those projects. Only then you will be able to access level 2 and start projects from here. Right now I can browse through them, but I cannot see any details so far. I can see what are elective projects, but I cannot choose anything yet. I have to finish level 1 to see level 2 and so on. Now, how to start a project and go through it? Okay, this is tricky. So let's say evaluation and feedback, a wonderful project which consists of giving a speech, getting feedback, giving a speech again with the feedback, and then giving an evaluation to somebody else. A wonderful project which basically not only gives you a possibility to improve your speech, but tells you a lot on how to receive and give feedback. So when it loads, it takes a moment, usually, sometimes a shorter moment. Here it is. When you start, you actually should see the description of how to navigate with throughout this project. Then there's introduction. Why do we have this project? What is the purpose of it? Then what is exactly our assignment? And here you have the first moment when you can print stuff. This is an icon which allows you to print stuff from the pathways in a neatly formatted way. Let's see, you see? This is your checklist, what you have to do to finish this project. You can print it, you don't have to. It's for your sake, so you can navigate easily through the project. Okay. Now I'm going further. There is an assessment of your skills before the project. You do it by selecting things and clicking on next, and only after you finish, you click on the arrow. That's important. If you just click on the arrow, you skip the survey, which you can do, but I don't recommend it. Then what competencies you will get from this project. And then there's the content, how to receive feedback. We can get more information. Some interactive fields. There might be a video here. We keep on going. More details here. And how to be an effective evaluator as well. There's a video. I will skip that. Even more information. You can skip all that by just going to the end, but why? If the projects really have the quality to them, you don't have to read everything, but I definitely recommend it. A Toastmaster of 11 years, I learned a lot from reading those. And some hints how to actually evaluate, great. And finally, again, the project checklist and call to complete your assignment. So now you will be doing the project, and only then, only here, you have all the evaluations and all the materials that you can print in the form that you just click on it and it opens up as a PDF. You can send it to somebody like your evaluator. You can print it for yourself. It's up to you. This is basically a shortened version without all the interactivity of what we just seen. Okay, so you can print that for yourself, and it's here at your evaluation. So at the end of the project, almost at the end of the project, you'll be able to print all the things that you need for this project, or you don't have to. After you do the speeches, in this case 2 speeches and the evaluation role, you should fill out this survey, which is survey after the project. When you finish this, by selecting the fields, clicking on next and so on, and go to the next, only then your project will be completed. If you fill out this final survey, otherwise, basically you will see a screen like this. So no tick and it will still say launch. Okay, so you have to start your project, launch your project, and then finish the final survey after you finish the project. I mean, Basecamp will not check if you did the presentations, but it will assume that you did the presentations when you finish the final survey after the project. Only then, after finishing the survey for Icebreaker, you will have evaluation and feedback. Only then, if you finish, all those three, you can go to your Vice President of Education to confirm that you finished the level and get to the next one. Okay, I talk a lot. Let's see. Is there anything else I wanted to share with you? Surveys PDF version, Okay, let's go to one more place I want to show you. So my feedback, this is something I really like. And I promise this is it. Okay, so I finished my icebreaker. Now I want to go and write, please give me some feedback. I need it badly. Okay, because I just finished my icebreaker, right? I'm not good at all. And whom would I like to give the feedback? So let me select some members from my club, which is Toastmasters. Oh, let's make it Polska SA. Search, and there are a couple of people in the club that already logged into Pathways, and I can select them and ask them to give me the feedback for this speech, okay? So, or all the members of the club, I can select them and tell them that I would like to get feedback, okay? And then the responses from them will be seen by managers. So basically, like administrator of Basecamp and your Vice President of Education, or nobody, if you uncheck it, or everyone if you want to share it publicly, like the feedback you got, up to you. And then you post it and people will get notified that you asked for the feedback. That's a very interesting function. I will be using that a lot, I think. Okay, that was a short demonstration. If you have any questions about this, then let us know on the chat. I don't know how it works from the point of view of Vice President of Education yet, but I will get to know, and on the next meetings with Pathways, I hope to share something with you. Okay, so that was it. Let's go to our agenda. And now let's summarize. So today we learned why Pathways is special. I hope you understand it right now. You agree with us that it's like a mango. And we shared some statistics. Greta showed us specific paths, specific projects. And I showed you how to use Basecamp, the portal for Pathways, a little bit. And right now, we are almost on time, so 56 minutes passed. Right now, I would like to thank you very much for this meeting. And if you want to stay a little bit further, let me just tell you that probably in a month we'll do another meeting. And right now we are open to your questions. So if you have any questions, post them into the chat, or maybe we will answer some questions that are typically asked by people. Okay, so if you have to really go ahead, but we advise you to stay a little bit longer. Greta, do you want to answer any questions?
Yes, actually, I saw one question typed on the chat, only one. So I encourage you to ask more as you have the opportunity. So Kuba asked, it was like more maybe a comment, that all the paths look so interesting. How to choose one? So actually, I have some recommendations. Amazing Toastmasters member Julie, she has a great and huge blog on Pathways, and I'm giving the link for one very interesting blog post of hers, the one which you see now on the screen. I hope you do. Yeah, you see that. And yeah, and this is that question between the 10 paths. Which one do I choose? So actually, she says that the biggest differences are in 3 required projects, because for the elective ones, as you might seen, they're more or less the same, just slight differences. So for example, you can check those required projects, Google what's in those projects, either through Basecamp or the link that Rana gave to you from District 47, I guess, or 40 something.
District 4.
Rana. Okay, District 4.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. So you can check, read it, and think about it. One more thing, if you're interested that Toastmasters benefit to your professional life, maybe think what projects might be the most useful for you as a professional person, for your career, let's say. And other than that, if it doesn't matter that much, then my recommendation would be just see the most challenging, for example, project, or the one that you have dreamed doing, but you didn't have enough of inside push or inside motivation, and choose the path which this project is in and challenge yourself. So Toastmaster has a variety of options how you can benefit. It's either, strengthening some things or working on your weaknesses, not weaknesses, points to improve, or maybe learning something completely different. Yeah, so this would be my answer.
Okay, great. Anyone else have any other questions? Or you're clear on anything? Okay, I see a question. Will roles and speeches made count in the path? Okay, 2 questions actually. First, will everyone pay for the first path? I hope this was covered during the club visits. You don't pay for the first path, you get it for free if you are a member of Pathways before the rollout. So if you were a member of Pathways, of Toastmasters on last Monday, then you get the first path for free. If you were a member of at least 2 clubs, 2 or 3 or 7, then you get 2 paths for free. But there's a trick. You choose the first path, and then you have to write an email to United States. So far, they haven't done it automatically. You have to write them an email and say, I want to choose another path. I'm a dual member. Please give me this path. And that's done. Greta, do you want to answer the second question?
Yeah, no problem. So, well, the roles and speeches count in the path. Yes, they do, and but it depends. In Pathways, it's a bit different than in traditional program, because in traditional program, when we have competent leader manual, there are a lot of roles we have to tick in order to become a competent leader. As in Pathways, public speaking and leadership is combined, so there are not many roles which we have to do. Only, as far as I remember, in level 3, we have to compulsorily become table topic master, the Toastmaster of the evening, and speech evaluator in order to proceed to the next level. Yeah, I think that would be the answer. And regarding the speeches, of course they count, because project mostly contains the speeches and other little tasks. So speeches count, but they're not the same as in traditional program, because there we had first speech, second speech, fourth speech, and so on till the 10. And now we will have according to the path selected and according to the levels. So I hope I answered the question. If not, please give me the clarification.
Okay, thank you very much. Koba asks, what email should we write? There is an email concerning the what was the exact email? I think we can find it.
Supply
Yes,
materials.
Supply orders, something like this. I will try to find it right now. And it's there that we can. I think it's in Contact Us. There are a lot of mailing addresses, and one that we're looking for will be this one. Supply orders. As far as I remember, you write there that you want a path. If you write to any other, for example, Pathways email, they will redirect you to the correct one. So just write there that you are a Duo member and you want this and this path, and that should be fine.
And I'd like to add here that if it happens that you want to change your path into something different within 30 days, you also need to write to the same email. But I encourage you not to spam Toastmasters International, because they have, I think, a lot of emails now coming in.
If you want to be really precise, guys, change carefully, because you can change only one path a year. So you cannot change like again and again and again, only one time a year. And then you have to wait 1 year, and when you're choosing another path, then you can change it again. So,
It's not like dating.
Yeah. Well, any other questions? Do we have any other questions?
Hi, Franciszek, it's Monica.
Hi, Monica.
I have a question. Actually, I'm wondering what would be the role of VP of Education right now? So, for example, after today's meeting, what should I propose to the club? Probably encourage them to log in and do the assessment, but there's any other thing I can do at this stage?
You can do whatever you want. Like, Vice President of Education, in my personal opinion, is the boss of the club. To tell you the truth, I always believe that, and I'm always telling that to people. Like, the president is just a figurehead. He's there with the title. The VP Education is the boss. So if you want to, introduce pathways to your club, hopefully you invited the ambassador and the guide to your club, so they had a visit, so people know the basics.
Yeah.
And now you can go ahead and tell them, guys, I'm maybe like, by your own example, like I did, guys, there is this wonderful program. I'm doing the icebreaker today, and I want you to take a look at it. Just log in, take a look. If you like it, you can continue. If you don't like it, you don't have to. But for me, because you love me, because I'm your boss, just go in, log in, and try it out. And I think that's it. And then they will ask questions with which path should they choose, and then you will tell them, go make the assessment, then go back to me, and I will tell you which path to choose. And you will continue the dialogue.
All right, thank you very much.
Any more questions? Greta, you want to take this one?
Question?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's a question: if idea of Toastmaster has changed. I wouldn't be so sure. I wouldn't say so, because actually, like, Toastmasters' mission remains the same. It's like to empower individuals to become more effective communicators and leaders. So I believe with the pathways, it's all the same. And I would be very interested in the fact what made you think that it's changed. And there is the second part of the question: is the idea to finish as many paths as relevant to you? If this is relevant, why not? But I think I believe the person's motivation should not be only to tick the paths or projects or leadership roles or anything, but to get the experience which is relevant to him or her. So partly, yes, if it's relevant, finish as much as possible. But it's not that you will finish the path in a month. I think the average now is like counted as 2 years or 1.5 years?
1.5, as far as I remember. Some people finish it within the year. I think it will take more like 1.5. You will hear about the guy who finished like 2 paths within less than a year, but don't be misled by this. This was a guy that really wanted to rush through the program, and he was part of 4 different Toastmasters clubs, and he was our past international president. So the guy was just, showing off. So don't believe in that you can do it. I mean, you can do anything you want. You can do like 2 speeches a day if you want, but I don't think it actually pays off. And remember, the paths are different. Some of them, like presentation mastery, is all about the speeches, but some of them are leadership paths. Like there will be a couple of heavy leadership projects, which will consist of some speeches, but apart from that, like half a year or longer leadership assignments. And this path you don't want to rush. You want to finish the half-a-year leadership assignment and take the most out of it. Do a speech, use the resources provided. So you will not finish your path very early, and some other colleagues will, in the meantime, they will finish a path or two. Don't worry about it. You will get the most of your experience because you chose the path that is relevant to you, not the fastest one to get to some titles or DTMs or whatever. You will get what you need, and that's important. Any other questions?
Any more questions?
No?
Nothing from my side. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I would like to ask Franek why the motivational path is your favorite.
Okay, that's a tricky question. Let me open up the motivational strategies, because like the paths are swirling in my head right now. Okay, understanding emotional intelligence. This is the best project ever. You can read it, but basically you write a diary of your emotions and you try to understand your emotions. And being a guy, everybody tells you cannot do that. Guys don't have emotions. Guys don't understand emotions. So I will prove them wrong. I'm involved recently in NVC, so nonviolent communication, a type of communication that doesn't make others hit you, basically. And sometimes even girls understand you or they don't want to shout at you. That's the idea. And I think this understanding emotion intelligence is in par with that. So it's part of that of my self-development in this way. Also, recently I discovered that I'm the best in the world. So like I'm good at speaking. I'm becoming a professional trainer at work right now. So all that is left is just to motivate others to come to my training, to listen to me, and then they will know that I'm the best. So that's I really feel that we need to motivate others to do stuff, to develop themselves. And I can be the best speaker in the world, or I can be the best leader in the world. If I cannot motivate people, then what for? So that's why I chose this path. That is motivate others with a team building activities. I have to organize a team building exercise, and then reflect on your path. You just reflect on what you've learned. So this path is in par with my development right now, and I definitely encourage you to try it out. But there are a couple of other paths which have some of those projects as well. So go through the assessment, look at what they propose, think about it. That's what I did. I went through the assessment, I got the 3 choices, and then I checked them out, and only then I made my decision. Up to you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure to hear you. You're very charismatic. Wish you all the best in motivating people to find out that you're the best.
Thank you so much. Okay, all the questions? Then I think we'll finish. Thank you so much for coming, for participating, for asking us questions. And thank you so much, Greta, for being here with me and delivering this wonderful presentation with humor and with style. And as I mentioned, I would like to initially invite you to join us in a month or so. I will send you all the details through your club presidents and vice president of education. And then we can talk more about your impressions from Pathways. Hopefully you will have some by then, and maybe talks about some advanced aspects of Pathways. So thank you very much. This webinar, if you have any friends, as Greta mentioned, it is recorded, and I will also share it with your club boards, so you will be able to show it to your friends, and you will be able to say that you asked this question, that you have been there. Thank you once again.
Thank you for that. Have a lovely evening.
Have a nice evening. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.